In today's episode, we are excited to introduce you to our second guest for the Bigger Room podcast. That is Lucy Crane. Lucy was a teacher who loved teaching, but had decided it wasn't the path for her for the rest of her life. That's not where she could see herself being long term. And she started an online business, struggled for years. Her and her business partner had finally seen some success last year, and they went on to make over six figures. We're very happy to have Lucy here. I think you guys are going to love this episode. We love this episode. We didn't even want it to end. It was so great having her on as a guest. So let's get into it. So Lucy, what is your claim to fame? Why would we invite you on this? We feel very honored.
Tell us who you are for our audience who has no clue who you are. Tell us a little bit about the success that you've had in the last year.
So thank you, first of all, for having me on here. So my name's Lucy. I work with someone called Stacey Knight-Jones. She's my business partner who I know you guys are going to be having a chat with at some point. The last 12 months have been a massive whirlwind, but I will say previous to that, I had 12 years of trying to create success online. So it's been a bit of a journey, but hopefully that actually shows people that success isn't always an overnight thing, and sometimes we have to do a lot of work on ourselves and we have to dig deep, and that's definitely been my journey. It's not been an overnight success, but what I will say is sometimes it just takes finding the right vehicle once to completely change your life and circumstances. And had I given up the many times that I wanted to, I wouldn't be where I am today. I would be probably stuck in my 9 to 5, back teaching, not where I want to be. So if I can give any kind of inspirational message from the get-go, it's don't give up, because when you have that feeling of wanting more for your life, you have those big dreams, if you keep going, you will be shown the way, and it's just finding that way. And like for me and for Stacey, my business partner, it was one vehicle, one mentor that has now opened the doors for many, many things for us. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. You mentioned that you were a teacher?
Yes. So that was my kind of career. I was a teacher for 6 years. I kind of categorized myself, and this might be a human design thing, like as I always push myself to the next thing. Like I always have to prove myself all the time. It's been this inner thing since I was a little girl, and I know what it is now because I've done a lot of work on myself. I was very dyslexic as a child. I used to have to go to like special classes to learn and stuff. So when I went into like university and education, I always had to do the next thing. So I went in the educational path. I love children. I love inspiring young people. Like that's something that I actually, in a way, miss. But I don't miss the politics of teaching. But that was my career, and I went on to do a master's in education. I really studied hard, and what it really showed me is I wasted thousands of pounds to do a master's degree, and it got me no further in my career, no further in my life. It was a certificate, and I hate saying that out loud, but that really is how I feel when I look back at that. It was one of those things that gave me credentials to get a good job, but the job was never what I wanted.
So wow. when you were looking to get out of teaching and then move toward online, was it for more money, or because you just truly didn't see yourself doing this anymore, teaching anymore?
I loved teaching. For me, I was like, it's like this inner feeling, and I can't describe it, but it's like this inner feeling. I used to drive to work, and it'd be like one of those, and I literally can see myself in my old KA car now. And I remember driving to work and just having this blue sky, and it was like, you know, those spring mornings where it's like a little bit icy, and you're looking outside your window, and I thought, all I want to be doing right now is I want to be sitting in my back garden with a beautiful book, with a cup of coffee, and I just want to have time for myself. And I think I got so in the rut of teaching. I was always ill over the holidays and kind of trying to fill my cup back up because it kind of burnt me so dry. But it's just this inner feeling of I need more than this, and I can't describe it. And I was willing to do what, even though I didn't know, I didn't have a clue of anything different outside the 9 to 5. I just had this inner feeling of like, this isn't enough for my life. This isn't where I want to be. And the only thing I think I remember thinking about then was, well, maybe I could win the lottery, because I didn't know about digital marketing. I didn't know about anything else.
Right.
Yeah, maybe I need to win it. I change.
I think for so many people, though, that is a reality of how they think. I definitely know that feeling where you're driving to work and you're like, oh my God, especially when it's nice out. Like, I don't want to be doing this. I want to just go enjoy being outside, enjoy this weather. And yeah, for most of my childhood growing up, I have no idea how old you are, but it was win the lottery. That was the only option to be able to just stay home, as if you hit it big somehow. And now we have this online space and these amazing opportunities.
Yeah.
That's a cool time to be.
Lucy, you said something beautiful, and it was that you just have always had that inner feeling, like you have just known since you were a little kid that you were meant to do more, like not live an average life. And I felt the same thing. Like when I was a kid, I didn't know, and I still don't know. I just always feel it in my soul, like I'm gonna do amazing things. I'm gonna help people. That's all I know.
Yeah.
And I think that everybody that we've met can probably say the same thing, and that's probably, we just get to experience that early in our lives, where as there's people that live their entire lives, go the traditional route, and then it's not until they get older that they finally dare to believe in themselves. So being able to have that belief in yourself from such a young age is amazing.
Oh, thank you. It's one of those things, isn't it? It's like, I think anyone that starts this online journey, and this is always a saying that has stuck with me, is you've come too far to only come this far. And with every up and down that comes with trying new vehicles, I mean, my first vehicle was actually in network marketing. That's where I found myself, because I guess it was the easiest thing for me to find back when I kind of transitioned from teaching. And that was incredibly up and down and incredibly stressful, and a whole other story that we can do another day.
Yeah.
But I always, like, when you start this, when you see that actually other people are doing what you want to do and you see it's possible, it's almost like this inner burning desire is like, you've come too far to only come this far. Like, don't look back, even though it's hard, even though you're not where you want to be, even though sometimes it's cost me a hell of a lot of money and time and energy, and heartbreak. It's like, you just don't, you keep going till you find that little bit of light, and yeah, and that's definitely been our journey for sure.
So what have you tried before? I know you just said that you've tried network marketing. What else have you tried since you decided to, believe in yourself?
So network marketing was the first thing, and then I came into the online space, and it was kind of creating own products, own courses, coaching, and I have had like some success. It's not to say I don't want to take anything away from the bits of success that I have had with that. Amazon FBA, Etsy, what haven't we tried? Crypto. We lost a lot of money in crypto. Like, that was a really heartbreaking journey, because me and my partner, and it was my naive excitement of, oh my God, I can't believe this can turn this much money into this much money, and naively going into it. And I think this is where we can all feel a bit nervous about the online space, because there are people that have invested in things that haven't worked out, and it makes them believe that actually there isn't something out there that does work. And there's absolutely stuff that does work. It's just finding that right vehicle for you. So I've tried it all. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm publishing. I'm a best-selling author. I've done books, and which I love. They bring me joy. I absolutely adore that part of my journey. But I fell into that because I needed money. So when I was self-employed and I didn't want to go back to a teaching job, I had to find something online pretty quick. And so I ended up falling into a publishing job online. But that taught me loads, and it enabled me to become an author, which is a wonderful thing that I can take to the grave with me.
I love that. I didn't know that about you. That's beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a great journey.
Yeah.
Lots of learning experience in there.
Yeah, 100%. A lot of learning, and I think it comes part of it, doesn't it? And I think no one ever prepares you for what that's going to feel like. But I think one of the things I will say is, for anyone kind of listening, looking at starting a business or they're on their journey, like when you think that you're broken and there is something wrong with you because you're not achieving what others are achieving, I promise you there's not. There really is nothing wrong with you. It's just maybe you're not in the right paths, you're not in the right vehicle, or you're not in the right energy. And all of that is okay as well.
Yeah, that's what I always tell my audience, is that the journey that we don't talk about, right? We could talk about the business model and what you have to do for that business model to make it to get it to work, but the journey that we never talk about is the journey of self. You evolve. The person that I am today is not the same person I was last year, and you guys could probably say the same for yourself. And I think people just forget to show up and put in the work for yourself so that you can become the person that you want to become. What society conditions people to do is, like, if your boss tells you to be at work at 6 a.m. tomorrow, even if you don't want to be there, you're going to show up. But if you tell yourself, I'm going to show up at this time and just put in 2 hours to work on myself, all of a sudden you don't have the time. So it really is about giving yourself that harsh feedback so that you can move forward.
Yeah, take that responsibility for sure. Because that's why people give up. They don't take responsibility and they find it easy to look outside of themselves as to why things haven't happened. But the inner game is the winning game, right?
Yes. Yeah. It's a fun game.
Lucy, I wanted to touch on you. I talked about you might not be in the right energy. Now, I know you had been doing some manifestation type coaching. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so this is something that me and Stace feel so strongly about. So the whole kind of manifestation and well-being, like for us, it's all about the person behind the business. And I think that kind of came to light through a lot of struggling years where me and Stace found ourselves massively in like what we call hustle mode, chasing the money, chasing the dream, chasing the income, copying what others are doing because they're successful with it, so surely we can be successful with it, and really ignoring actually what is real and true to us. And I think this is the same for anybody in business. Manifestation really is just about your alignment to what you're doing and your alignment to how it feels. And my biggest thing I could say to anybody is, when you feel good about something and you feel expansive and excited, that is your path. When you are feeling anything less than, or the answer is anything but a whole body yes, it should be a no. And I think if more of us learn to trust ourselves, because most of the time when we experience these feelings, it doesn't make logical sense a lot of the time, and a lot of fear comes up. And me and Stacey have definitely had this, and I know you girls will understand this. We've definitely had these fear-based thoughts that have tried to override our feelings and our gut and our intuition of what feels good in terms of business, what feels good in terms of direction, and what feels good in terms of lifestyle. But the more you can trust that from the get-go, I wish someone had taught me this stuff from the beginning, because there is so much stuff I would never have done and never have put myself through. What is to God? But you just go with logic, don't you? And it's like, actually, if you can learn to trust yourself with strategy and find the people, the community, the vehicles that feel joyful, that feel good, you're on your way to win every time. And you'll have a lovely life in the process of it. I think for many years, me and Stace, who I know you're going to chat to, we had businesses that sucked energy out of us daily, sucked us dry. Like we were like burnt out, we were like dreading the days. And it's like, actually, we became self-employed because we wanted to love what we do and have a lifestyle. And that is just so key thing in all of this, have a lifestyle that brings us joy and the freedom. So the more we've been able to actually trust in ourselves, the more I feel like doors have opened, and we've actually now created the life that feels so wonderful. And we're not millionaires, and that's okay, because we just have a really nice quality of life where we feel like we're living our purpose, we're living with joy, we're living with fulfillment, and we can share that gift with others who feel aligned to that message. So don't chase, don't hustle, don't feel like you have to be working 24 hours a day to create success. I personally don't believe that. I believe you can have a lovely life and you can create absolute freedom and joy with a business that lights you up without any of those things.
Yeah, but abundance, to feel abundant. That's great. That is
I think that's a great reminder to our listeners, because again, right, people think that the more you work, the harder you work, the more you're going to make. And so when you focus on the money, and as we know, money does not buy happiness, right? It solves a lot of problems for sure. But if you woke up and you had everything that you've always wanted, you had everything you could possibly have, what would you do? And then that's when people are like, oh, I don't know what my purpose is. So like you said, it'll feel right. Whatever you want to do will just feel right.
Yeah. And I think actually money's quite a big trigger for people. And energetically, when we're talking about like manifestation, and I don't want to go too woo, but if people are focusing on money, what it tends to do is it actually takes them completely out of alignment, because for most people, money's a massive trigger. Most people don't have enough of it. Most people are in debt. Most people are worrying about it. So if you can actually focus on the feeling of the lifestyle you want to create and what that feels like, who's around you, how those people around you make you feel, it is such a different energy. And also, this is how me and Stacey have approached our business. Like, what do we want to be confined to? And actually, do we want to be told that we have to be on a certain time a week, committed to a certain thing? No, that doesn't feel good. So it's finding that balance for sure, but it's also trusting in yourself more than anything. Like, you are your best asset in any business you go on to do online. And if you can just trust in yourself, you will achieve success far quicker than my 13 years of struggle.
Well, how do you maintain a work-life balance?
So I mean, we've pivoted quite a bit, in all honesty. So we don't do kind of face to camera now. We focus much more on theme pages, which has been joyful in itself, because I show up on stories when I feel inspired to, rather than because I should, which has been really liberating from the last kind of 8 months of, I've got to show up on a story, I've got to do a face to camera reel, and I've got to say this, and I've got to ask a question. Like, we didn't do that anymore. Like, genuinely, life feels a joy, because I wake up and I think, do I feel inspired today? And sometimes I'll go weeks without showing up face to camera. And that's okay. It just feels wonderful. So that's how we pivoted. But I will say, for kind of the everyday person looking at starting an online business, in terms of getting the best work-life balance, you've got to look at the times that work best for you. For me personally, especially if you're working a full-time job, morning is definitely my savior. I couldn't come back from a full-time day job and start trying to work on my side hustle. I'd find that really challenging. Whereas getting up at 5 a.m., although it feels horrendous in the moment, and doing an hour before you get to your day job, that's how I initially pivoted out of my teaching career into the entrepreneurial world. So I think it's finding the best time for you and what works for you, so that you can be consistent with something. But from a work-life balance, I just put my joy first before anything. I put my happiness, I put my walk in nature before anything. I've changed how I run my business. I don't want to run it in a way that I'm told I need to. I run it in a way that feels joyful, and it's doing great. Follow the joy.
That's great. How did you get into theme pages?
So it was through our first mentor, with the affiliate marketing side, and we obviously met him. So Nicholas, we invested in Nicholas's training. If anyone doesn't know Nicholas, he is basically somebody who specializes in theme pages. And it was after the summer holiday, so this was back in August, and I remember Stacey was on a holiday with her children, and she couldn't get signal to post her reel. And I remember her sending me this voice message, and she was literally crying, and she was like, I can't get signal, I can't post my reel, I can't do my story, and I was like, Stace, seriously, like, it's okay. And I think we didn't realize until that moment happened how stressful it was to have this pressure of shoulding all over ourselves. You should do this, you should say this. So it was back then, actually, after the summer holidays, we decided we were just going to do it for ourselves. We were like, we just want to have something that long term means that if we don't want to, we don't have to have this pressure on ourselves. We can have that beautiful quality of life to be present, to be in that joy. So that's when we invested in Nicholas. And then that was just building kind of in the back end. We didn't ever invest in that to go on to teach it, but it just so happened that actually we ended up teaching it because we found so much joy, we found so much love, and it's how we do now want to serve. But at the time, that was what it was. It was, our values are so much about family and about freedom, and we're not worried about being hustling millionaires. We want to have a really financial independence, and I think that's what most people want, right? They want to be debt free, they want to have a lovely quality of life, they want to be able to have the holidays. You can do all of that without having a hustle business.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So I am curious, why did you feel like there was so much pressure to make sure you're posting daily and posting your story daily with the traditional affiliate marketing versus what you're doing with theme pages? How is it different?
I think because when you are being watched, sending the most love in the world, like people are looking at what you're doing because they aspire to kind of create similar results. There's a certain inner pressure that you don't want to let other people down, and you want to lead by example. And I think that's when it really caught on. It's like, who am I doing this for? Like, really, who am I doing this for? Because it's not me. So that was the first thing. And also because we had failed for so long. And that's why I say there are definitely principles of how to be successful online versus not, because I know I struggled for 12 years and I didn't really create any consistent success. And I found our mentor, I found affiliate marketing, and there were principles that I followed to the T, and it changed my life. And so there was almost this fear in me to ever pivot and think I can do anything else, because what if I fail? What if, because I stopped doing that thing that doesn't feel good, does that mean I'm going to fail again? And does that mean I'm going to go back to where I was? So it was learning to have trust in myself that actually I'd gained a lot of this skill set, but it was okay to actually say no to what doesn't feel good long term, but keep and say yes to all the skills that I'd learned and I can leverage kind of moving forward, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so for anybody that's still listening, so for the personal brand is where you were showing up daily, and with a theme page, I guess for somebody that has no idea between the difference of a theme page and a personal brand, why do you not show up every day for a theme page?
Because you don't have to. So the way you kind of build a theme page is very, very different to how you build a personal brand. How you create a community is very different from how you build a personal brand. And because of the types of content that you use in terms of content creation, it's actually easier to build an audience on a theme page. But it just takes longer to monetize. So that is the kind of truth of personal brand versus theme page. However, I will say on some of my theme pages, I still do show myself in my highlights. But again, it's from a place of when I feel inspired to show up and talk to the people that need my message, I will show up and I'll keep that in a highlights, and they can see me and they can experience who I am. But otherwise, my everyday is very much a business that will run without me, because that's what I choose. And I do want a family this year, so I need to have time.
Yay! So do you have awesome people running your theme pages for you then?
Yes. Not all of them. I will be honest, Joe. And it's so funny because I did do a story today. There are some theme pages I will never outsource because they genuinely, the research behind them, like they bring me so much joy, and I'm like, this is where I'm meant to be. So I'll never outsource those. But there are some theme pages that I know work by the book. They follow the principles of, and they're in that niche of business and wealth. Those pages that don't necessarily bring me massive joy, I outsource those.
You seem to always get that feedback from your body. So it seems to me that the way you look at tasks, you delegate. You learn to delegate if it's worth your energy.
Yes. But I will say I couldn't do that at the beginning. So be okay, like for anyone kind of listening, I guess, that is new in business and, you know, you might not be able to outsource straight away. And I definitely couldn't. But I think this is where what we were chatting about earlier, girls, it's always looking at that long-term vision and creating something that if and when you can outsource, you can, but if you don't want to, you don't have to. But delegating for sure is a massive thing, I think, in business success. And I'm guessing with you guys, you're exactly the same, aren't you? Like you delegate and you
Yeah,
things you want to do.
Like I'm like the queen of delegate.
Jill is the queen of delegating. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. I have a
And not being
question
afraid
for
of it.
you.
'Cause I think... Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I've noticed that a lot of leaders in business or just entrepreneurs in general have this common denominator of believing in the universe, believing in alignment, believing in the law of attraction, and just constantly working on their mindset. And there's still a group of people out there that just believe it's like this hocus pocus. But personally, I have never met an entrepreneur that doesn't lead their life with manifestation and being in alignment. So do you have any advice for people who may think it's hocus pocus, or maybe even like a trigger for them to invite learning more about that?
In terms of, I think you have to start where you are. And I'll be honest with you, because my energy as a teacher is very much in the masculine. So I always like to do. So I think I'm pretty similar to someone in corporate, somebody who actually would be very non-interested in the manifestation soul stuff. And that was my journey. So if I can say anything, I will say that I thought exactly the same. What that left me though was a very burnt out, broken person who made decisions that did not serve me and get me anywhere in terms of success. But I think it's about finding the people that resonate with you. And so wherever you are on your journey, I mean, one of the gurus I talk about quite often is someone called Abraham Hicks. To somebody new to the field of manifestation, they'd think she's off her rocket, that it would not make sense. So it's finding people that can align to where you are. So I would say for the everyday person, the best person that did introduce me to manifestation, although he isn't manifestation and guru, he just helped me to see life differently, was Tony Robbins. Because Tony Robbins, I think, is so real life. And although he isn't manifestation per se, a lot of what he talks about is energy. A lot of what he talks about is the inner energy. And I think actually when you have that inner energy, it makes you see and feel things differently. So finding your gurus, being open-minded, and also asking yourself the question, if it's not worked for you thus far, why not be open-minded and willing to look at something a little bit different? Because I can honestly, hand on heart, say that the energetics behind and the manifestation stuff, it's changed my life. And I would still be stuck where I don't want to be if I hadn't been open-minded to it. But I do get the resistance. 100% I get it.
Yeah. I same. I felt the same, where I was like, okay, this is just crazy people talk, and kind of that's how I looked at it. And it wasn't until January of 2023, and I was stuck and I was trying to move forward with my online business. And then I finally decided to start listening to some of the other people telling me, you know, I had to be more open, and I decided to invest my time in listening to some of the manifestation stuff. And in February, so January to February, my business took off. It just exploded. And I truly believe that was the missing link.
And did you feel different, Jill? Like genuinely like feel different? Like you were approaching business feeling?
Yeah, I had a big block that had been there pretty much since I was probably 4 years old. And it just carried all the way through my adult years. And in January, I finally was listening, and it took a lot, and I released it. And that was huge. I mean, probably one of the biggest things to ever happen in my life was to release that that bad
Definitely.
energy.
And it can be really simple, like just having time to be. And I actually listened to a Jay Shetty thing the other day. I don't know if anyone knows Jay Shetty. He's another great guy. And he was saying he was doing like a survey of people that they were asked basically if they wanted to be like electrically shocked or to spend 15 minutes in their own time in silence. And literally it was like 80% plus of people would rather be electrically shocked than spend 15 minutes alone. I know. And I was like, and it's in that alone time that you really find yourself and you really find the answers that you seek when it comes to business, success, wealth. But how bonkers is that? Because I think we're so trained as a society to be doing and to be going. And I think the way technology is, like, we're so trained to be that way. But actually, there is so much you can gain from just giving yourself time to be with yourself. And sometimes that takes overcoming some inner trauma, because sometimes there's elements of ourselves we don't like and we don't want to be with. But if you face them, everything, business, health, life, relationships, it will all change with you.
This actually, more recently, my son, I have a 7-year-old, and in the morning on Saturday, he kept saying, "Can I turn the TV on? Can I turn the TV on?" I'm like, "No, you cannot turn the TV on when you wake up. We're not doing that here." "Can I turn the TV on?" "Fine. Can I go on your phone?" I'm like, "No, why don't you go on my phone?" "Mom, I am so bored." I say, you need to sit and be bored. Be in your head. You cannot constantly just keep picking up something and have the next thing. You have to be able to be in your head. So you need to sit there. Like, either you can talk with me or you can be quiet and in your own thoughts. But there is no way I'm letting you touch anything, for this time. But I think a lot of parents have a hard time even stopping their kids from technology at all. But I wonder how it's going to be down the road with all this whole generation growing up with stuff in their face constantly.
I think that's the scary thing, isn't it? But I will say, like, once you feel it and you experience life in this way, you'll never go back. But you have to gift yourself that permission to give it a go, to be open-minded, because it's something you have to feel as an individual. And until you feel that, you'll never know. And you'll always look at it and think, oh, they're a bit nuts. It's a bit, woo-woo. But when you feel it, suddenly it's like the whole world around you changes and how you experience life changes with you. And it just becomes this, I'm not saying life is a joy every day, because it's not. Bloody hell, does life throw us lemons? Sorry, can I say that? Well, life does throw us lemons, but you recover quickly. It's just a different way of being. I can't describe it. And I don't want to sound like an absolute woo, because I am a genuinely normal person. It's just the soul-led work has just become part of who I am, and it actually has changed my life in every way. So do it.
I'm sitting here smiling. Yeah, I'm just smiling because my wife tells me all the time that I'm a Fruit Loop, because something changes inside of you, right? When you, like you said, something just changes, and you can never. Yes. It's just, you unlock something, you see life differently, and when life does throw you lemons, you learn to adapt. You say, okay, you just move differently. But it's it's a great feeling. 100%. Once you unlock it, you're unstoppable. So
yeah,
gosh, I really hope that's the biggest takeaway for everyone, is to just go on that journey.
100%. And it doesn't have to be
open to it.
Yeah, at least be open to it.
Yeah, and literally 15 minutes a day. 15 minutes of a day can change your life. 100%. And I will say, if anyone is interested in Tony Robbins, he does a priming exercise free on YouTube. That was the thing that changed everything for me, because I felt something in my emotions, and emotions is what changes your world.
Yes. Oh yeah.
And if you don't
so excited.
think you have 15 minutes a day to add anything else, I have just recently suggested this to another friend. Just turn something on in the car. Like, just put on your 15-minute drive to work or wherever you're going while you're waiting for your kids to come out of school. Just throw it on in your car, and now you're multitasking basically, because
and I think people I think a lot of people are either living in the past or too worried about the future, right? So
100%.
So like it's like the left side of your body, the left side of your mind focuses on the past, and then the right side of your body, the right side of your mind is just clouded with worry of the future. And so then you have no time to focus on what you can do now. And that's where, again, taking those 15 minutes every single day to just be focused, not on the past or the future, but just be focused in the now and what you can do now to just bring you back, can be the beginning of something different.
Yeah, and even like simple gratitudes, what you're grateful for. Like I think we
Yeah.
forget so quickly the blessings we have in our lives, and the more you appreciate, the more appreciates. And
Yeah,
being
I
grateful for
I
those
go
things.
I go for my gratitude walks in the morning, and I haven't done stories, but I used to like just post a story that I go for my gratitude walks, and like that, you know, that I was making commissions in my business, and then everyone would message me, "What's the route that you walk every morning?" So that I could go walk it, because I need some of that in my life.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
it
and it's
is.
just
It's a new,
that
it's a
I
new
hold on to the
village.
gratitude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a like you know, so it's just in this morning I went for my gratitude walk, and it just feels amazing to just be grateful for everything.
Yeah. 100%. And the secret is probably when I think back to like how I was first introduced to it, it was The Secret, the movie
Yeah.
and the book. That was my first introduction to all of this stuff. And I was a little bit like, I remember watching it thinking, oh, it sounds good. You know, if I can visualize this, I can create it. And I chose to believe, but my choice to believe in something greater than me allowed me to then find the gurus that, because this is an everyday thing, you know, it's not something you can
Yes.
watch once. You have to embody it as a person, otherwise life won't change. And that's when people are very frustrated in this place of, I know about law of attraction, I know about manifestation, but nothing's changing. It's like it has to be an embodiment, it has to be a way of life, a way of being, and
Mhm.
putting your feelings of happiness first, it is just everything. Like it's just everything.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, it just, if you start putting pictures up, it doesn't mean that that's going to happen. I mean, you have to, it's a whole process and you have to practice every single day.
Feeling,
Yeah.
yeah, it's an emotional,
Feel
it's
it.
emotion.
Yes.
Yeah.
The emotions, it's like the secret is actually the emotions.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, that's the secret. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things that I do with my son before he goes to bed, we read and everything, and then I'll bring him into his room. And I'll lay down with him for a couple minutes, and then I tell him, give me 3 things that you're grateful for today. And most of the time, he's like, Mom, I can't. I'm too tired. I'm like, I just need 3. I need 3. He's like, all right, well, then you go first tonight. Or sometimes he'll just rattle them off really quick. It's almost always like he's grateful that he got XYZ today or, something. But he always says, I'm grateful I have a good mom and I have a good dog. And, so I've been trying to teach him that kind of stuff. And last night we were going over the abundance in our life. And that was a newer exercise, and that was kind of fun, different. But I hope that, that he grows up with learning to
It's
be
so wonderful,
grateful.
Jill,
Yeah.
honestly, to be able to instill that from that age. I think it's just wonderful to give him that mindset of, looking at what he can be grateful for. It will just serve him so much as he grows because it's something he'll be used to doing. I love that so much.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for you. Because we're talking about how energy is super important and has an influence, in our lives every day. What would you say to people who maybe don't have the best environment, maybe because of relationships or family? Personally, for me, like my family is completely toxic, so I have to do extra work when I'm around family. What advice do you have for people who, want to maybe do good or invest in their business or go all in and trusting in themselves, but maybe they don't have a supportive partner or supportive family?
So, one of the techniques that I've always used is something called the blue bubble technique. And it's so bizarre because it genuinely really works for me, it has anyway. In those situations where you are surrounded by people that may be quite toxic in your energy, people that are not serving your energy, it's literally like you imagining in that split second moment. You get into a habit of doing this, and I still do it to this day. Like when I feel like I'm being emotionally attacked or something doesn't feel good, I'll do this, and I'll do it on automation now. But it's just having this like imaginary blue bubble around your whole body, and you are in that moment empowered to you let in what you let in, but everything else is repelled. So it hits the bubble, it repels, hits the bubble, it repels. And the worst thing you can do is let other people determine your direction, your goals, your dreams, because you know inside of you where you want to go. So I know it sounds, again, it's quite a woo-woo technique, but the blue bubble technique has served me so much in terms of protecting me, protecting my energy. And then there's moments where I felt really vulnerable and felt really confronted about my decisions, about my life. That has really served me well, because I thought, you know what, I'm not letting that in. It's not in. And I visually see it, their comments just being thrown away back in their face, because that's them, that's not me. That's them, that's not me. So that's one of the woo-woo things I would say. The other thing I would say is, whatever decision people are telling you to do in your life and business, are they paying your mortgage? Are they paying for what you want to create? If they're not, you know, opinions are like belly buttons, in the nicest possible way. And I think I'm not very good at hardening up to that, because I actually still take things on really at a sensitive level, because that's just who I am. But it's something I'm very good at coaching others to do.
Yeah, in January when I had that big moment, it was all family related, of course. I said it started when I was 4, probably, but and the moment that I released it, and the next time that I was around my family, everything was so different for me, because it no longer mattered about all the stuff that used to bother me. I already had let it go, and I was like, I'm just me now. Like, this is me, and whatever you say cannot affect me. Only if I let it affect me will it affect me, and it's not affecting me, and it's been awesome. it's like way more joyful when I hang out with my family, because I used to let that stuff really, really get to me, and now I don't let it get to me at all. I have my fun.
And isn't that empowering? I think it's so empowering to know that actually we can't control what others say, what others feel about us, how they behave. That's so out of our control. But we can absolutely control every part of how we respond to that. And I find that so empowering. I think the reason people struggle is because they give their power away, and they actually allow their response to be led by other people's actions. And actually, if you can empower yourself to know, actually, I have everything inside of myself, and I will choose how I respond to this toxic situation, this toxic person, even if it doesn't feel empowering in the moment, it is empowering because you have that. And I think, Jo, exactly what you just said there, like, you've been so empowered in that situation to choose differently how you respond. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah. It is hard to teach somebody who, has grown up with that mindset of, well, they did this to me, or, well, I'm mad because they said this. And that's what we hear as we're growing up from other people. And I hear my son say it all the time. Like, I actually didn't do any of that stuff to you. It's how you're looking at it. And it's a hard switch to make. But once you make it, it's amazing. It's a great feeling. And you do feel so much more powerful in your life.
And I think for a lot of people, like, what the feelings that they may have today is because they haven't given themselves permission to forgive, because a lot of the times it's forgiveness. You may have to forgive yourself or the people that made you feel a certain type of way. For me, that's what it's always been. And the way that you talk to yourself, that's another harsh one that I think people, the choice of words have a huge impact on how you live your life. So I always tell people, think of your 5-year-old self. Right? When you're 5 years old, you're innocent, you're full of life. If you wouldn't talk, exactly. And it really is inner child trauma, really. And I think most people have it. And if you were to talk to your 5-year-old self, you wouldn't maybe talk to them the way that you talk to yourself right now. So give them a hug, like really envision hugging your 5-year-old self. And I remember thinking of doing that one time and I just cried because it was just like, wow, there's a lot to unpack there. So
Yeah.
people just need to heal those traumas and they have to go there. And I just wanted to share that because, again, we are probably, people might think this is hocus pocus, but it's sometimes it's just letting go and forgiving your inner child and the people that might have played a role. And I know that's hard to do. It is so hard
I think
to
what
do.
you said, Jamie,
When
like,
you do,
yeah, going back to your inner child, and we actually have a meditation. We're more than happy to share it if it's something that will help your listeners. But it's basically a meditation that walks you to the tower of going into a room and actually, and this is what most people never do, exactly what you just said, Mel, like going into a room that's locked where your inner child is just sitting there on a bed, and what would you want to say? What would you want to feel? And we suddenly realize how vulnerable we've been in ourselves and how maybe little self-worth and confidence we've had because of things that have happened. But you're so right. Like the whole manifestation, it isn't just about the woo and the energy. It's about looking at things that are holding you back and being okay with the fact that you're not broken. There are just things that you need to kind of face again.
Yeah, that's, we come to this world with nothing. We're going to leave with nothing. So what matters is that relationship with self and having a positive impact on others. So that's the whole point of being in the bigger room.
I love that, honestly. I've so enjoyed this chat. It's been so lovely just to talk about so many different things. This is the beauty, isn't it, of the conversation, how it leads different directions.
Exactly. Yeah. We just let it flow.
Let it go. I know.
So, yeah. Can you tell us what's next for you with your online business?
Yeah, so me and Stacey, who I know you'll speak to soon anyway, we are very much again in the alignment arena of what long term, just as you ladies we chatted about earlier, long term, what is going to kind of bring us joy. So we are creating different theme pages in our joy. And that really is our passion. I think we kind of came into the digital marketing space and it was all about the making money online niche. And I think since we've kind of stepped into theme pages, we've remembered our joy. We've remembered the hobbies we love. We remembered who we are as women. And I think because we came into this online space, it's all about making money and you gotta make money. Like obviously there's strategy with that, but we're kind of just really stepping in our joy now with theme pages that are nothing about money, but they make the world a better place and they give value in a different way. And for us, it creates a lovely quality of life, and that's what we want to bring to women. We want to show women how they can actually really live their joy, have a lovely freedom quality of life, live their values, and do it without any constraints of having or shoulding on themselves.
But you have your theme pages, but you also have like a program or something or a course, right?
Yeah, that's what we teach women to do. So everything we've created, that's what we're teaching women to do in the in our program. So we teach women how to start, scale, monetize theme pages. If they want to outsource it, how they outsource it. So it's just, I guess it's really for the women who share those same values with digital marketing and don't want to do it necessarily showing their face, but still want to feel like they've got a purpose.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of faceless accounts that get created for the sake of making money, and actually that isn't what theme pages and what we believe it's about. It's about creating something that gives that woman her purpose, gives that woman her fulfillment, gives that woman her joy, but she still brings the practicality and strategy of what it really takes to build a long-term asset with a theme page, and what that growth needs to be, what the content needs to be, and that's where we hope to really inspire and empower women to create the life, because we want them to just live free and be free. That is our joy and purpose.
Yeah. It's hard to be a woman sometimes.
Yeah.
And where can people find you on social media?
So we have an Instagram page, the Digital Glow Gals. I won't mention all our theme pages because there's a lot of them. So
That's fair.
the main page.
That's
I've got my
we don't have time for that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well,
Yeah.
Lucy Digital Glue Girl, which is my personal page. So on there as well, you'll find everything about me and what we do.
I do have another question for you, though, Lucy.
Okay.
Can you tell us the difference between a theme page and a faceless page?
Yeah. So, and I know this is the new craze. It just seemed like the new craze of faceless marketing, of people kind of stock images, putting an MRR product on there, putting it out there. So with a theme page, the whole building, creation, market research, foundation stuff you don't see is basically the difference between that and someone who's just grabbing a stock image, putting something on it and hoping it sticks. And it's not to say, and I'm not taking anything away from faceless marketing, because actually there are some faceless marketing accounts that have done so well. My question would be is how long does that do well? Because for us, it's about building that long-term digital asset. The other side of it is I think a lot of faceless pages are in one dimension. It's a faceless page selling an MRR, make money online products. With a theme page, what we want to actually encourage women to do is create something that might be completely not even in alignment with wealth, making money online. It might be, I mean, I've just created one about my cottage renovation and I love it. And I'm so excited. I know that page will make me a full-time income. I'm just sharing my joy of my cottage renovation and cottage interiors because I love that. So what we want to do is the difference between how you start, scale, and monetize a theme page. The process is very different from faceless marketing of grabbing stock images and putting it out there. And also in terms of direction, theme, niche, and what it brings to a person. Like, and I know it sounds really silly, but I want women to feel so fulfilled, so in their joy. I don't want them to be feeling like they're just putting a bit of stock image out there to make some money on an MRR course. Not disrespecting that at all. Please, no, I'm not. Does that make sense? There's a real difference in that. And having your own course, that's something else we do teach women. So we have the Evergreen Course Academy, which is, again, I think there's a lot of women that have that purpose, have that voice. So as part of our program with theme pages, we also teach them how to create a course, but a course they can run on auto. So we make sales literally in our sleep because we have this automated system. So it means you can still live your purpose, be aligned and true to your authentic voice, and make a beautiful income that serves you. And I hope that's what we instill to our ladies. It's very different to just doing the new trend. I hope I've said that the right way.
That's that you did. Yeah, that's very inspiring because it's it's the feeling good always, right? It's sometimes people go into this space and they're doing things that they don't feel like it's right, especially like with MRR or even digital marketing, affiliate marketing. To a lot of people, it doesn't feel right. To them, it feels like a pyramid scheme. And if you have any negative emotion attached to it, then it's not going to serve you long term. So always tapping into being in alignment, being excited about the offer, like what you're doing with the cottage house here. That's exciting.
That's worth it.
It's refreshing.
I'm honestly not knocking MRR. I'm not knocking any of the faceless stuff, but I do feel there is sometimes these trends that take off, and actually we want to create something that these women could, if they wanted to, could sell these theme pages, because we know they're going to have built them on the right foundations in years to come and sell them for a lot of money if they want to. It's content that is proven to work. It's just, we want them to win. We don't want them to just be part of the sea of ocean of what the new phase is. We want them to have something really tangible and long term that they love.
Yeah, that's inspiring and refreshing. Yeah,
it is. I'm gonna go buy
it. Right, I'm over here like sold.
Yeah, we do have an affiliate program.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Asking that.
Yeah. So can you just say your socials one more time for our listeners so they can go follow and buy?
Yeah, absolutely. So my personal social is lucy.thedigitalglowgal. And then our joint account is the Digital Glow Gals, where you'll find me and Stacey, and you'll find everything we have, our free masterclass and everything around the theme pages. So, yeah.
Last question that I have for you is, what advice do you have for anyone who's on the fence with starting their own online business?
Literally, the best time you could have started was yesterday, but if not, start today. And I think it's being okay with feeling fearful, but also thinking about, if you don't make the move, where will your life be? Like, sometimes it's that mindset, isn't it? And I'm so sorry, you've asked me for one sentence, but it's just
That's okay.
things in my head. Trust that you've seen the opportunity for a reason, and trust that if you're looking, where you are right now in your life is not where you want to be in 5 years, but without change, nothing changes. So sometimes we have to be brave, sometimes we have to be really bold, and we have to step out of our comfort zone. And sometimes that means investing in ourselves to the point where it feels absolutely crippling. And we all know how that feels, like that scary decision to invest in ourselves to better our lives. And for most people, they make decisions on short-term gratification versus long-term gain. And I would urge every single one of you to not make the decision based on what feels more comfortable in this moment. Make the decision on what's going to serve you the long term and where you want to be. And sometimes that means feeling really uncomfortable right now, but long term, you're going to get where you want to get to. So believe in yourself, trust in yourself, and go for it, because there are so many success stories that have walked the path. They have been on this journey, and you can absolutely tap into their success path. That's what these mentors are here to do. That's what I've leveraged. I've leveraged other people's success. And I've obviously made some mistakes along the way, but that's okay. Like, we're just all human beings, but if it's possible for others, it's possible for you. I'm sorry, I waffled, but I hope
No,
that was great. No, that was
perfect. Keep talking.
Yeah, right. We might have a repeat guest.
Oh, I love you girls.
Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you feel the same way that Jill and I do, which is we absolutely did not want to stop listening to Lucy talk. I hope you guys found value, and if anything, inspiration to move forward with your day and take the advice that was given today. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Nell Kobian.
Jill Bender. Thank you for joining us on the Bigger Room podcast.